Hello, my friends. Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa String Works Man Cave. Trying the other microphone today to see how you like it. That other microphone is handy, but like someone said, you have to keep it right in front of you. This one I think picks up without it being right in front of me, which I like a little better. But that one there is great for vocals, so I'll probably keep it for our vocal mic when we're doing live recordings. And anyway, uh, haven't made any more progress on all of that, by the way, as far as working on this system. We had company all weekend long, and from the morning to the evening, and it was the kind of company that were adventuresome. They wanted to see everything and do everything, and up to and including some metal detecting and searching for arrowheads and the whole bit. So they were very active, and it took pretty much the whole day, both days. However, I did slip out early in the morning and did cut some logs, and I've got several video clips that I'll show you and share with you. I thought before we get going here too far, I wanted to mention too, I've already mentioned that Mary has done well with her basketball, but because of Friday's fiasco with the mics not working, I was telling you a little update on that, and that is that I mentioned she got her 1,000 points in her very last game, and really in the very last seconds of that game, she hit her 1,000 points. And that's impressive enough, but the really, really impressive thing about that is in all of those thousands of points, there was only one three-pointer. All of them were two-pointers, and they were all pretty much rebounds, almost all of them. So that's pretty amazing. And of course, the team helped her there in that game and got her the ball a lot so that she could make a bunch of points. And she scored, I think, 24 or 26 points in that game. So it's amazing, and it worked out just perfect. And she hasn't, I haven't heard if she's heard any more from the Sedalia College up there. It's like a community college. But regardless, just getting to go and getting some kind of help with the tuition is a big deal. So I just hope it works out for her. Well, I got a lot to get into here. I think I've got six clips that I wanted to show you. I think I'll start with this lumber clip, and this is kind of the water wheel update. Well, it's bright and early Monday morning. You can see that I still have quite a few logs left to saw. What is that, 7 logs left? So I've sawed up about 3 of them so far. And here's what the sawmill looks like. I keep it covered because the electric winch will get water in it, and that ruins the winch. There's some slabs that'll probably go in the furnace. Here's some more slabs that can kind of be salvaged. Actually, this top one here is probably not much. Probably get rid of it. But most of those can be salvaged into some kind of board. Here's like a 2x10 that was left over. Just kind of left that one as it is. And then again, a bunch more slabs that can be salvaged. This is that hackberry over here, so that'll go into something else. Here's my pile of 2x4s and 2x6s that I can possibly use on building the water wheel house. And we'll go inside and I'll show you the large stack of siding that I have. I think I'm good on siding now, probably, except for the fact that I know I'll have some waste because some of the pieces aren't great. So I'll probably cut 1 or 2 more logs for siding just to make sure I've got plenty. But look at there, it's a pretty tall stack. It's 28 high with an extra board on top, so 28 and a half, if you will. And it's 20 inches deep. It actually is deeper than that in most cases, but I'm just averaging it at 20 inches. So that way, I should have enough to cover the sides of the building now. I haven't made the batten, which would be the 1/2 inch thick and about 2-inch wide or maybe 2.5-inch wide strips. So I do have to make those yet, and I'll make those on the sawmill as well. So it's looking good. I made some new finds this weekend, and I'll tell you about those here in just a minute. Yeah, well, regarding the lumber situation, I think I've got enough to get going at least pretty darn far on the water wheel house. Might have enough to do the whole thing, but I'm not really sure. I think what I'm going to do, just to play it safe, since I do have some more logs out there, I think I'm going to go ahead and saw up a few more for 2x4s and a few more for siding. And the other thing is that part of our visitors this weekend were Jennifer and Alex is the fellow that likes to help me down here, and he wants to come back and help me build that building, and he says he has free time within the next couple of weeks, so I don't know if I'll wait for him or get started on it ahead of time, but I'm getting close to getting started on it, though I do have a few other little side projects also that can keep me busy. It's not like I have to stay busy or something. Just cutting some more lumber would keep me pretty busy, but there's other things too. I thought I'd show you, I mentioned there that I made some finds, and here's the first video clip. By the way, I wanted to mention on all these video clips, I didn't have a chance to edit any of them because this morning, for whatever reason, my transfer method that I used to transfer the videos from my phone to the computer decided to not work this morning, and it was a nightmare. It took me 40 minutes to get these files transferred. So you get what you get, and you don't throw a fit. There's going to be some editing mistakes here, but that's all right. We just have to look past it. So here's the first clip. Hello, my friends. Hello, my friends. I'm back here about 2/3 of the way back on my property, and you never know what you're going to find. Just to give you your bearings, the old house place used to sit up on that hill, and then there was another old house place over in that corner there. I found a ring out in the spring near that corner. I found another ring up at the old house place area up there. And I just dug this hole right here and found yet another ring. I am so amazed. There she is. I'm sure it was probably nickel plated or silver plated or gold plated at one time. I haven't cleaned it up yet. I'll let you look at it better on one of my vlogs. And before we get to that, I'll show you just a short distance from there, I found this. As I was continuing to look for stuff with the metal detector, I found that. Another deer antler. Pretty cool. That's a pretty good size one too. Yeah, this has probably been the most antler we've found in 1 year, especially just in that field. They've pretty much all been right in that field. Almost all of them. There's been a couple in a couple other places, but most of them have been in the big main field. And, I search the big main field every year, and this is really the first year where we've just found them like crazy. I don't know what the difference is. And let's see, then moving on to there, here's a short video clip with a little closer look at that ring and some of the other things I found. Well, the finds I made this weekend, we'll start with the best one. It's another ring. It's another size 7 ring, which is the same size as the other rings I found. And you can't see it very good, but right there where my finger is, there's a seam. And in that seam, you can see a little bit of gold still there. Then you can especially see it under the microscope. So for sure, it was a ring. And here's some more white bullets that I found. Can't say these are Civil War for sure, but that one's really folded, and it's really white, so it's very likely Civil War because it's so old. And then I found these things, and I do not know what these are, but I found them way at the back of the property, approximately where I think they may have been digging the silver. And this looks like heavy equipment type stuff. This is very solid piece of steel. It was really encrusted with rock, really encrusted. It was down about 18, 20 inches, and there's a lot more of it in the ground. This is just what I could get out. I have a feeling this may have belonged to some kind of mining equipment, possibly. Then again, it may have just been some farm equipment that I'm not real familiar with. But anyway, that's what I found this weekend. Just thought I'd show you. Yeah, and in case there's new people here that haven't heard the story, the very first bluegrass festival that I held here on the farm, I was walking down the aisle toward the stage, and a man, real old man, really old man. I mean, he was well into his 90s. He grabbed my arm and he says, "Son, what are you going to do about your silver mine?" I thought, he's probably senile, is what I was thinking. Honestly, I didn't know what to think. And I thought, what do you mean, a silver mine? He goes, you mean you bought this place and you didn't know you had a silver mine on it? And I said, well, I guess I did. And he says, I was 16 years old, and he says, I was hired to break their horses. And this was, pretty sure it was, I don't know, pretty sure it was in the 20s. You know, I don't know if my math is working out here, but I'm pretty sure it was in the 20s. And anyway, he said that they hired him to break the horses. Well, while he was doing that, he said the trucks were going in and out hauling silver ore, apparently. And so I went back and looked on my, again, words, abstract is what they call it. It's a big, thick book of all the deeds and things. And sure enough, back in the 20s, there were two different mining companies that had some sort of a lease on the property. And I don't know what, much about it other than that. But then again, I've never been able to figure out, well, where in the heck were they doing that, Well, this weekend, as I found those two big pieces of metal, I started looking around and I thought, boy, we're in a low area here. And there's a bank on two sides. And I thought, well, this may have been the pit where they were digging this out, And this could be mining equipment. That's what it could be. And it's right at the very back corner of the property. It's really, well, it's 200 yards. Well, not even that far. 150 yards from the back corner, probably. So, anyway. And let's see. Here's finds number 2. Here's a little update on what I found this weekend. And I found this stuff right out here in this field. And that is, I found this thing, which I don't know what it is. I would say it had some sort of a pin that would catch through here. It might have engaged something and turned something else because of this. I don't know. And of course, I found yet another old axe head. Now, this is pretty old, I'm pretty sure. It was completely stuffed in here, and it was almost like rust. I cleaned it all out. It was just a rusty mud like this is. And I'm thinking I might make this one back into another axe just because it's very heavy. It's very old. You can see that the back end is splayed out a little bit, and that is from hitting it with another hammer or something. So they were splitting wood with it. In other words, they would swing it, stick it in the... Right at that moment, the camera ran out of memory. So anyway, they would take an axe like that and swing it into the stump, and then they'd take and hit the axe with a sledgehammer to drive it down through the stump. So anyway, that's why that's all splayed out. And let's see, I got one last little clip to show you here, and here it is. And here's yet another project that I need to get on right away. You can see my marten houses, I have them lowered down. I need to clean them all out. That won't take very long, maybe 15, 20 minutes. But I'm going to replace this with something that looks like that on this pole. This pole's a little crooked. I'm going to have to get it straightened up too, which might be a trick. But anyway, I need to build a deal like that for this pole because that one's pretty much full with martens each year now, and I need to give them some room for growth, and I need to add on at least that many more over here. That's going to be a big job, and I need to get on it right away because they'll be coming toward the end of March or early April sometime at least. There's the Pony Thunder, very much like the very, very first pony I ever had. His name was Thunder. Yeah, that old pony there, the kids ride him all the time and stuff. He's very gentle. Um, I had a pony that looked almost exactly like that, and there's a picture of me somewhere sitting on that pony, and I look like a little bitty thing, sitting on a great big horse is what it looked like. So I was really tiny when they had it. I don't hardly remember it, but I kind of vaguely do remember it, but just very vaguely. I have the ability to remember from way back into my childhood when I was very small. A lot of people can't do that, but I do have some very, you know, specific memories of when I was really, really little. Um, can remember certain things in certain houses that we lived in, and people tell me that there's no way you could remember that, and I'm saying I do remember it, and I describe it to them, and they go, "Well, I guess you do," because I anyway. Sidetrack. I think that's all the video clips I had. Um, it was really beautiful weather this weekend. They couldn't have picked a better time to come down and visit the farm, but it was windy, especially yesterday. Very, very windy yesterday. Well, let's see here about comments. Let's see where we're at. John Pepper was the first one to check in, and then Bill Webb, good old friend Bill Webb, and Blair Turner. I am moving up the ladder, and I can feel the elation mounting as the edge towards the goal of being the first one in the chat marathon. So Blair's moving up in the world here, and there's Dottie Hildebrandt. Uh-oh. Dottie says she's headed to the hospital. Well, I'm sure sorry, Dottie. Praying for you there, kid. Take care of yourself. Moving on down, looking for question marks. Bill Rhodes, Jerry, who was the little girl that won the fiddle? Her name was Grace, is all I know for sure. I haven't had a chance to even get into it yet. I was planning to have that all done, but then I forgot that I had all that company this weekend. And trust me, the company was, I mean, I was glad to have them, don't get me wrong, but man, it took all day long, both days, so I didn't get anything else done. But so I'll get that fiddle straightened up. Maybe, yeah, I kind of forgot about that. I kind of need to get that done maybe today, and maybe I can get it shipped out tomorrow or something. Yeah, the story on Grace is that she's fairly good fiddle player. You can tell she's got a knack for it, but she doesn't own a fiddle, and she looks to be a little older. I'm just talking off the top of my head. I don't know how old she is. I'm going to say she looks like she might be 13, 14, somewhere in there. And might be older than that, might be younger than that. But anyway, she looked like she could play a little bit, but she didn't own a fiddle. They were renting her fiddle all the time. And I thought, well, that ain't right. We got to get her a fiddle. And so it'll be a perfect fiddle for her. Moving on down, Donald Matthews, Itchy Boots should know not to go under trees during lightning storm. Yeah, well, it's the 6 1/2, half a dozen the other problem. If you're out in an open field, standing up out in an open field, you're the tallest thing around. So it's really 6 1/2, half a dozen in the other. It really is. I wouldn't want to be standing next to the tallest trees in the forest for sure. Under low growth trees, you're probably pretty safe. But if you get into the area where there's one or two really tall trees, then you got a problem. So I don't know. I was thinking the same thing that you're saying there, though. But it's you can't really judge until you're there. She was trying to get to a village, and the most amazing part of that, though, that now as you bring it up, the most amazing part of that to me is, have you noticed that no matter where she stops, like if she falls in a ditch, or just any problem she has, somebody comes walking by. It's like she's in the middle of nowhere, and somebody comes walking by every time. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And that was the case there, too. She's out in the middle of nowhere, and somebody comes walking right down the trail. Let's see. Looking for question marks primarily. Yeah, Jeff says she was at the mercy of that storm. Yeah, she was, boy. Yeah, and Ronald Todd says she's absolutely fearless. I agree with that one. That's what Ron McClanahan, my buddy, has said about my wife Sue. He goes, she is fearless. I said, yeah, you don't know the half of it. Ronald Todd says, much better view with the new mic setup. Okay. Yeah, it's my preference. I mean, I don't know. I like that mic a lot, and I especially like it when I'm singing into it, that kind of thing. But I think for just the vlog purposes, I like this mic better for right now. And but I do like that mic a lot. So moving on down. Are there any other question marks? We don't have too many this morning, unless this thing's just not working. Looks like CL Varnell, studio mic is very soft. This is soft? Well, I can turn it up, but I was afraid it would be burning, you know. I don't know. Anybody else have a comment on that? Since you keep martins, do you also have starlings and the house sparrows trying to trade? Well, that's specifically why I have those specific houses, those gourd houses. They have the long entrance and they have the entrance that is low and narrow. It's wide. It's like 2.5 inches wide roughly, but it's only about an inch tall. The sparrows and the martins do not care for those. I mean the starlings. The sparrows and the starlings don't like that entrance, especially the starlings. You'll still get an occasional sparrow, but the starlings, they don't go in there. But if you put the round hole on it, you can't keep the starlings out. They drive you absolutely bonkers. So that's why I went with those. Now, the long neck is really there to protect the babies from the hawks and the owls. My first couple of years, I only had the round gourd with the same kind of entrance, but it was the round gourd. And the hawks and the owls can fly up on there, hang on there, and stick their head through the hole and eat the babies. And after that happened, about the second year it happened, from then on, I couldn't get the martins back. It took me like 8 or 9 years to get them back, and finally got them back. So I put those long necks on there. That corridor then gives a long way from the babies inside. And so if you're wanting to raise martins, I don't know that I'm an expert, but I definitely learned some things. And there's about 3 or 4 things that are very, very, very important for martins. Number one, you got to have it in the open. If you got trees real close around, there's not a chance you're going to get them. And not a very good chance, let's say it that way. They like to have their house with a free fly in from almost any direction. So if you've got anything within 20 yards, that's probably too close. So you need to have it out in the most open area you can. That's point number one. Point number two is it needs to be at least 12 feet high. Higher is better. About 15 feet's real good. 12 feet high, though, would be about your minimum. And it's good if you can have it close to activity. They like human activity, believe it or not. They don't. You don't want to have it right next to a building, but 60 feet from a building or a little more maybe. As long as it's not blocking their flying in and out, it's good. They like to be near people. And then the gourd house itself will attract the martins quicker than a regular house. The regular houses attract sparrows and starlings and stuff like that. And even on that wooden house, I went ahead and put the other kind of entrance in it, and I still can't get the martins to go in it. I'll see an occasional martin land on it and go in it, but they always go to the gourds. They like the gourds better. So there you go. Those are the things I've learned. Water is another element. If you can have it close to water, it's much better. And we've got our creek there, plus we got our pond just a very short distance from there. And having water there is another plus. Okay, moving on. Let's see. 2 yards. Itchy Boots has been about everywhere. Where's next? Well, I was actually thinking of making a comment, not that she'll read it anyway, because she probably gets so many millions of comments, but I was thinking about making a comment saying, how about Cuba? I think it would be cool if she went to Cuba, because that way we'd get the real inside story of Cuba, because, we only know what we see in little documentaries and things, and I've watched a couple recently on YouTube that were very good, but I think Itchy Boots would really show you what Cuba's like, and I just wonder if she would go there. That would be really cool. Somebody says it is good, but it's a little lower in volume than normal. Well, I'll turn it up some more. I was afraid it would be burning. If it's not burning, I can keep turning it up, And anyway, it's up there quite a bit more now. I'm watching the thing on my screen now. Down here on this little thing, it's burning. It says it's burning, but I'll keep turning it up and see what it says, see how it works. And that way I can hear it back later too, and then I'll kind of have a better feel for it, because I don't know until I know. There's no way here to know what you're hearing. It's impossible. I mean, you can put the headphones on and you can think you're hearing what you're hearing, but it ain't the same. Okay, and then 2 Yards says, in his opinion, the volume is perfect. Yeah, okay. Well, it does depend on what you're listening to it on also, and what you've been listening to by comparison, because every video you watch on YouTube is going to be a different volume. It's just the way it is, because nobody's using the same stuff, and even if they were, they'd be setting it differently. So every video is different, So you got to take all that into account. Timothy Webb says it's much lower than last week. Well, again, I'm not talking directly into it. If I'm talking directly into it, it's probably way different, So, anyway, Rudd Jansen, I have sent you an email on the Focusrite issues. Default only channel 1 and 2 are available in Windows. Yeah, I see that, and I actually kind of heard somebody sort of addressing that on a YouTube video, but you would think there'd be some way to reroute that. I mean, I don't know. I don't get it. That's why I'm hoping that when I get to the actual software for the routing, the mixer, I can't think of the word, but anyway, once I get into the mixing software, I kind of think I could fix that. I'm not sure I can, but I kind of think I can. Dan says, but I appreciate you sending me that email, and I did see it, and I did go there, and I just haven't had time to spend on it though. So, but I did see your email, so thank you. Dan says, I was that way when I was young. I have memories of things I did with Daddy when I was only 2 years old. Yeah. And like I said, when my dad's set me on that well, and that's what scared me of heights. At least that's what I think it was. I don't know why he didn't think of that, or when he sat me there, because it was really high, straight down. It seemed pretty dangerous. These days you wouldn't do that, Well, anyway, he did, and I had to be very little. I had to be very little, 3 years old probably, because I know we lived in that place and another place or two before we ever moved to the place where I went to kindergarten. Actually, I can think of 3 places we lived before I went to kindergarten after that place. So, yeah, I had to be pretty darn little. But I have lots of memories like that. Simon Jardine, I was standing in a lightning storm avoiding trees because that's what they tell you to do. Suddenly I got hit by a tail? Not funny and very painful. Could have been worse. Got hit by a tail. I don't know what you mean there. Do you mean hail? You got hit by hail? Yeah, well, like I said, it's a 6 1/2 dozen proposition. seriously, people say don't go under trees. Well, if they're low trees, you're probably better off there than you would be standing out in an open field, by a long shot. I tell you what you do is you go into if you're in a forest situation, you look around, and if you see trees that look like they've been struck by lightning, you want to go somewhere else. Anyway, the other option, the thing that, I'm not sure this works either, but you might lay flat on the ground too. That's another option. I would say you'd have a better chance if you were flat on the ground than you would be standing up. Because lightning's going to go straight through you if you're standing up. If you're laying flat, it's a little less likely to nail you. Of course, then again, you never know. Lightning is lightning. It's going to do what it's going to do. C.L. Varvel. Sound is better since you turned it up. Okay. All right. I just can't tell if it would be burning or not. Like I said, I almost had it that high to begin with because I was watching the on-screen thing. The on-screen thing looks about right now, but down here it's burning on this thing down here. So you can't, what do you go by? That's the problem. Blackjack Guitar says, sounds better now. Okay. Theron Corbett. I was above timberline on a mule deer hunt in Nevada and got caught in a thunderstorm. It's amazing how flat you can make yourself. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. You're way better off being flat than you are standing up. Sounds good to me, says Bob. Okay, well, good. Mike Jones, just to point out, if you were trying to match levels, you're a little lower than your last audio setup. But if the mic is getting too hot, then that's what it is. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. Like I said, I'm not talking directly into it. These mics are, they're kind of multi-directional, but I'm also not even talking toward it. I'm talking past it. See? So it's just picking up everything. It just picks up pretty much everything. Hugh O'Connor, I've been to Cuba twice, and it's a fantastic place. Well worth visiting. Microphone volume is fine. Well, thank you. Mike Jones, it was a wooded area when some lightning came down close, and I could feel the air pressure in my ears. It's close, kinds of sizes. They ran. I'll tell you a quick lightning story. Sue and I were married. We just got back from our honeymoon. We bought a little tiny house, but it was like brand new. They had just remodeled it. It was just like everything was new, carpet, everything. It looked like a brand new house, but it was very tiny. And it was. I've told you before. It was built on the back of the house was sitting on the hill on the ground, and the front of the house was built on tall concrete piers, and it was done really professionally. It sounds kind of hokey, but it looked like a mountain chalet or whatever. It built on the side of a mountain is what it looked like, because it was a pretty steep hill behind us. But it was really kind of a pretty house, actually. It probably doesn't sound like it, but it was. So we're up in the air quite a bit, and we're looking out the side window, and our well is directly below this window in a concrete vault. Well, another well story, because you've heard my story about the one that blew up. This is almost the same kind of thing. And anyway, we're like I said, we had just got back from our honeymoon. I think it was the same day. And it was raining really hard. It was a heck of a storm. And we're looking out this window. Both of us are leaning out this window. And kaboom, lightning hit that well. And it blinded us. I mean, blinded us. Couldn't see my hand in front of my face. I was just seeing spots, like completely dumbfounded, and the sound was deafening. It was crazy. And I turn around and I don't see Sue, and I can't hardly see anything, but Sue's not there. And then I basically trip over her, and she's laying on the ground. I thought she was dead. I swear I did. And she fainted, I guess, or she passed out. It was that loud. It was horrifying. And she came to within a few seconds, but yeah, so lightning's going to do what lightning's going to do, and there ain't much you can do about it. I can tell you that for sure. But that was as close as I ever want to be to a lightning strike. And that was, I would say it was less than 10 feet out from the window, probably, something like that. Boy, it was loud and bright light. I mean, it was so bright, it was unbelievable. By the way, that the side deal on that is I thought it burned all of our electric up in the house because none of the lights would work. And this is so weird. I'm not kidding you. You'll think he's got to be making this up. It's that weird. But I'm telling you, it's true. 100% true. None of the lights would turn on. And we thought, well, then it's blown a fuse or blown some circuit or something. No, nothing was done like that. Every single light bulb in the house, and this was back in the old days, with the light bulbs that screw in, every single light bulb had been unscrewed about a half a turn. Believe what you want. I'm not kidding you. Every one of them. Well, every one that was at least on, I think. I can't remember the specific details, but there were several that were loosened. It was amazing. Just amazing. Let's see. Yeah, Mike says it's scary not knowing where to take cover. Larry Atkins says the mic is great, location and volume. Now it's a little loud. Okay. Simon Jardine, when lightning strikes in Scotland anyway, 3 or 4 strikes light up at ground level and the lightning hits one of them to ground. Okay. Yeah, it can do a lot of things. Well, most people think lightning is coming down, but, it's all in who you believe. The scientists say the lightning actually is going up. That's what they say. I don't know if it's true. And to some degree, I think it is true, but I don't know. That's what they say. Yeah, Mike Jones says, yeah, it's a crazy amount of energy. It truly is. It really is. Are you planning to travel anywhere to experience the total eclipse next month? No, actually, what I've heard is that it's really close to right here. In fact, I forgot to tell Sue that we need to start marketing our place on Airbnb to watch the total eclipse, because I've heard that it's really supposed to be good viewing right here. So we'll probably just be outside, with whatever. I'll probably have my welding helmet on, watching it. That's probably what I'll do. But anyway, guys, that looks like that's going to be it, and I got a lot to do, so I guess I better get to it. I better go down and work on that fiddle and get that thing ready to ship out. Just can't keep up. It's not easy being me. By the way, I don't know what this shirt really means. Just all day, every day. I guess he looks like he's having a bad day. Of course, this is a very old shirt, by the way. It's pretty much washed, all faded out. But anyway, I better get going. So thanks, guys, for being here. 183 viewers at the moment. We will see you tomorrow. It looks like there was a comment that popped in real quick here. Something about the electrons have to find a path. At first, I think it happens from both sides at the same time. Yeah, there is no direction. Yeah, I kind of think that's true, too. But I've actually heard people say that it is actually coming from the ground up, is what I've heard. I don't know. Can't prove it by me. It happens so doggone fast, it don't really matter. And the power is there. It's going to mess up your whole day if you get hit by it. Y'all have a great one. We will see you tomorrow with something else.